Okay, Genady, how's it going?
Going great. Thank you. What about yourself?
Very good, very good. We're here with Genady Rashkovan today, an old friend and a very interesting person, which we're going to hear about today. I'll just start with a short introduction. Genady is a global VP at Tricentis, which is a company I know for many years, a great company. He's responsible for end-to-end post-sale customer experience, which includes all operations and functions post-sale, driving the AI architecture planning and implementation across the CX organization. And if we break down what CX organization is, it includes the CS, customer success, services, support, as well as the renewal process. In addition, Genady is a TSIA advisory board member, and very, very excited about value realization and value journey. Maybe you can say a word about what TSIA is, Genady?
Of course, of course. And first of all, thank you for the introduction. I'm very pleased to be here, very excited to have a conversation. I'm very passionate about the topic as a whole. So very glad for the opportunity. Thank you. TSIA is a global organization that includes all different disciplines in our industry. Of course, I'm part of the services and support advisory board, and what we discuss is, industry trends, set standards. If you want to run a benchmark, how is your CX organization performs against the companies in the world, and you want to run such a benchmark, you could come to TSIA and they would do it for you. So for each discipline, they have an advisory board that people from the industry with experience that sit together and decide what's really is the industry standard. So I'm very pleased to be part of that team.
Excellent. Very nice. And I'll also say that we worked together back at Perfecto Mobile slash Perfecto, where you were running a lot of post-sale activities, and we built a pretty amazing machine there. Go-to-market and post-sale machine together with Keith Butler, Ron Yaniv, and the rest of the gang. So thank you, Genady. Let's jump right to it. I'd love to hear a little bit about what actually got you to focus on the post-sale journey. What's getting you excited about that? And then let's dive into it.
Sure. And, we are going back to 25-ish years where, I was in the beginning of my career, a software engineer in my education, trying to decide what do I want to do. And I think getting to work with customers, and one of my first jobs was to work with customers, was sort of a, implementation software engineer. And I got to work with customers. And that instant satisfaction of saving somebody's day every day, I think what kind of defined for me, all right, you know what, I need to work with customers. I need to save somebody's day, really. And that defined the entire career. I spent 25 years in customer-facing roles, everything that is CX, with support and technical account management and other CX functions. And I think getting this, I think it's one of the most challenging roles. Of course, every role is challenging, but I like that particular challenge, and for me, it's most exciting, most rewarding, and this is how I began my career.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it later, but again, focusing on saving somebody's day, which means that's the highest value you can give them on that day. So very, very cool. By the way, I forgot to put in my introduction, which I just know, which is also a very avid car enthusiast for off-road cars. So if somebody wants advice on off-road cars, ping Genady, he knows his stuff. All right. Let's talk about the top objectives that you see today with CX organization and specifically customer success organizations, as they mature, as they look at their maturity journey. What are the top 3 objectives for you when you look at an organization like that?
So this is not a simple question. I'll tell you why. I think, and maybe we'll get to talk about it a little bit later more. What is the real CS role today, and how I see it evolves in the future? Because I think that that's actually related to the answers for this question. But obviously, other than there's one really big objective, is to make sure customers realize the value. All right, this is the one objective that this role has. But it kind of it's a very general statement. What does it actually mean, right? You need to partner. If you ask me, you need to partner with your customers on their goals. What does it mean? If customer renews, it doesn't mean they realize the value, right? So if my goal is to get them to renew, I don't know if this is right. I don't know if they're successful. I don't know if they're realizing the value. Maybe they renewed because they gave me another chance for another year. Maybe they renewed because they had that budget, but next year, if they don't see the actual real value and ROI, they won't renew. So renewal is a fact. It's not enough. I need to understand what is their goal. I need to partner with them. If I will partner with them, and partner with them on a goal means if they miss their goals, I miss mine, even if they renewed. Right. So measuring me as a CSM on renewal, I think is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, if there is a churn, it's easy. Something went wrong. But if there was a renewal, that's not enough for me to know that everything is okay. All right. So that's one. So partnering with the goals, but actually partner. Creating positive sentiment with a product. This is actually, it's kind of a psychological thing, but it's very important. We do not like to work with products that makes us feel dumb. We want to develop that sentiment that if this product, working with this product makes me feel smart, makes me feel in control, empowered, and successful, I would want to use that product more and more because this is addictive. What does it mean? If I will take your reset button away from your PC and every time you have a blue screen, you will call Microsoft support, and their support is amazing, by the way, you will absolutely hate their products because you're not in control, and that will create the negative sentiment, right? So me as a CSM or CX as a whole function, right, which is multiple discipline, in my eyes, one of the main roles is to create that positive sentiment with the product, and there are many ways to do that, but this is one of the three. And of course, the feedback to product is, I think this function is really best positioned in the business to come back to product and say, hey, if you want our customers to realize the value, if you want our customers to love our products, this is what we need to include in our roadmap. Because new features are awesome, but if we don't realize the old features values, new features will never be bought.
100%. Amazing. So your first one was partnering with the customers specifically around value realization. And I think we also need to sort of define together value realization, which is at the end of the day, customers are trying to solve a business problem or, get from A to B, from a current state to their desired state. And we can quantify what that means, and we can set KPIs to what that means, and really see that they get there step by step. And we also know that most customer success organizations find it very hard to do. So their day-to-day ends up being either a premium support engagement or at best driving adoption for features, right? But when we look at value realization, it's a hard step for them to take. Some do it successfully, but some are struggling. Why do you think taking that step from driving adoption to product capabilities and giving that satisfaction and I'll say premium support, because you're sort of the guy to shout at, right, as a CS guy. But why is it so hard for teams to up level into a value realization discussion and align to what they're actually trying to achieve on a business level?
So the answer will be, I'll try to be as generic as possible, because every company structure their roles slightly different, and there can be different answers for each organization. But in general, I think the most common way to hire for a CSM role is to hire someone who can manage the customer. I don't think this, in my eyes, that is the main goal for this role. And we can actually now talk to how I think that role should evolve and maybe will evolve in the near future. But for me, CSM is an evangelist of this industry. For me, CSM, if I'm a customer, I'm paying for a product, whether I pay for the CSM services or it comes with subscription, I still pay for CSM services, right? So think about it. If I hired a lawyer, right, I'm not hiring a lawyer to tell him what to do. I'm hiring a lawyer to tell me what to do. So if I bought a product and it comes with CSM services, I need to hear what I need to do. Okay, CSM is that role that it comes with or paid that will tell me, all right, listen, to be successful, here is what you need to do. Here's your plan. Here is the roadmap. Here are the milestones. If you will be here in the end of that year, will you be happy and realizing your value and successful? Yes? Great. So, well, there is that's the way. But to do that, you need to understand the industry, you need to be really, really strong technically, right? And yes, of course, customer management skills are also important, but that's actually secondary to everything we just said. And I don't think we hire to that role. We do not hire the right persona, which then what results is if I don't know to manage that conversation, my default is to run into my comfort zone and talk about what you want to make you happy as a customer, right? And when you are a customer talking to your CSM, all you want to talk about is pain, and your pain is support cases. And instead of visionary roadmap, milestone and value realization conversation, we end up talking about escalations and support cases, which is really not the role, right? And that's why I think, first of all, this is the challenge. You ask why it's so difficult, because we don't drive that role in a way I think we should, as all right. Some companies, of course, do, right? And this is kind of a generic question answer, but more often than not, I do see CSMs kind of going to the default comfort zone, talking about cases, managing customers' cases. That is a waste. That is a waste of customer time where we can guide them, we can tell them how to be successful, and we can make sure they are successful. And if not, we can go back, right, to the business and say, all right, this customer is not successful. Here's what we need to do. Not help me. Here's what we need to do to make them successful.
Right.
So this is, I think, a biggest challenge in that role. And I think the way it's going to evolve is that it'll be sort of a merge between the CSM and the support, and not the first level support, right? The highest level support, the specialists, the experts that will become a consultative element in that role, and they'll become customer success. We can call it whatever, technical account manager. But they will be the person that will kind of hold customer hands and drive them to success and help them define what success is for them.
Interesting. You know, one of the things that comes out of what you're saying is be clear to differentiate between a happy customer and a successful customer, right? So if you're focusing on making them happy and you're forgetting what they need to be successful, you're missing the mark.
Absolutely. It's not a happy customer who renews, it's the successful one.
Right. Exactly. So you're talking about understanding their objective, their business objectives, strategic objectives, and being able to drive that discussion with them. In order to do that, you need to know what those objectives are. Now, if you're lucky, your sales reps uncovered that during the sales process because that's what they sold. They sold solving the business problem, right? And if you have a value selling motion and the right value selling team, then by the time you sign the deal, you know in the organization why the customer bought and what they're expecting. However, we know that this simple handoff between understanding this during the discovery and the sales process and understanding this towards a value realization journey, that handoff is broken 90% of the times.
Yeah. Somewhat.
Why is it so hard? Why is it broken?
I think it's a little bit, in my humble opinion, it's a little bit of a focus in silos, right? Everyone is working in their silos, and we're all guilty of that because this is how we act. We all act. This is how we set our goals. This is how we drive our teams. If I will measure my sales team only on sales, that means they focus on that, right? So if customer will buy just because I'll kind of color the value slightly, and that's what makes them buy it, but I know there will never be such a value delivered, well, I'll sell that because I need. But if my if my responsibility and my measurement of my performance will be a closed loop of, it will be linked to product capabilities that I sell that actually exist, and that I will know how to define the success criteria with the customer when selling that product, right? And we will define the milestones, and I will be aware of those milestones as we go through the year, because basically, if you're surprised by the churn, everything in that process was wrong. Every single thing, right? You probably didn't sell properly. You didn't make the adoption smoothly. You didn't monitor the milestones, and you did not know that the customer doesn't realize the value. Every portion of the chain kind of failed in a way. But I think sales is the glue that's supposed to hold everything, because it starts from sales. Because I'm selling you a value, and now I need to make sure that what I sold you actually, you know that what I sold you, you're getting it. You sure you're getting it. And what you think you're getting is actually what you're getting, because sometimes you think that you're getting the value, and after a little while you discover actually that is not entirely true.
100%. And I think that in a SaaS reality where, land and expand, being able to upsell, I mean, most of the revenue from a customer comes after the initial sale. That is part of the value sale, right? So you value sale step one, then you realize the value for step one. You upsell for step two. You realize this is the value for step two. So the cycle has to be, the handoff and the cycles have to be very tight together, versus 20 years ago when things were sold, dumped, and that's it. You talk to the customer in 4 years. So
So you're not afraid you're not scared or challenged or concerned how fast they will realize the value, if they will realize the value.
right, exactly.
And one important sentence that I didn't say, but I think that is actually the key. It is easy, to hire an army, call them sales army, and they will do everything. They will sell and they'll monitor, and they'll be the success and the support and everything. But of course, that's not scalable, and no one wants to overinvest. The way to solve it and the way to have it is with technology, right? And I think this is why amazing companies like yours and many others on the market today that I'm aware of, and some of them I'm even on the advisory board of those companies, they come to give you that technological leverage to do something at scale that is not possible with human. And that co-pilot in sales, co-pilot in CX, right? Co-pilot in customer's journey that will monitor the customer, monitor that value, will make sure that value is actually delivered. And if not, then yes, then you activate different functions in the business, including human, to make corrective actions. But to monitor and be everything we just said, you don't need a human to do that. You don't need an actual salesperson to do that. You need a co-pilot that will do it for them.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So maybe as a summary, one of the things you said is the chain, right? You talked about when the chain is broken, when it's and what I'd like to understand is, how do you define that chain, going all the connecting dots from discovery of the sales process, understanding customer pains, understanding what these pains are tied to strategically, selling the value and the product, and then onboarding them and going through the journey of value realization. How do you tie all the dots there, between pre-sale and post-sale on the value journey?
I think there is no easy answer here, right? Probably I will say something we all already know in general, theoretically. But if you define with the customer when selling a value, what is that value and what is the success criteria? And if you will define the KPIs that you will measure on the journey to that success criteria and when it's going to happen, and you means, yes, it's a sell rep at that point in time, but that is linked and synced with every other function in the company, especially CX, because they will be basically the guardians of that process. If everyone is aligned and if something goes off, you know what to do, then yes, then it will realize the value. If a company as a business will act, I'll give you an example. Okay, very often, if you sold a value, customers didn't realize the value, the pressure immediately goes on CX. What's going on? Renewal rates are low. You need to come up with a success plan. No, the business needs to come up with a success plan. And as you said, car enthusiasts, right? We all like cars. If you bought a car and you don't like it because the 0 to 60 is not as fast as the manufacturer promised, or the infotainment system really complicated, you know how to use it, it's not the mechanic you're going to go and blame. And mechanic cannot help you. It's the manufacturer, right? So you need to look at the whole business. So if customers are not realizing the value, it is not only on CX or only on sales. It is the business as a whole needs to look at it, analyze it, and understand what needs to be done. Very often it will be a product. We didn't mention product, but product are those who will define how usable, how intuitive, how supportive the product is. All of those will create that positive sentiment with the customer, will make it easier to adopt and value realize everything, right? So all the discipline in the business, I guess if you ask me, the key to success here is, yeah, it's kind of banal, but it is collaboration of all discipline together. It's not one that is responsible to sell and one that is responsible to retain.
Right. Amazing. So first of all, Genady, thank you so much for this. I'm excited to keep our conversation going outside of this podcast. We're very focused on driving qualification and value sale at scale. And this conversation about post-sale is extremely interesting because in our world, we see more and more of that know-how and skill set gets implemented in post-sale as well. We see it within our customer base as well. And so hope this conversation continues way longer. Thank you so much, Genady.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm always happy to talk about it. Very passionate about the topic.
All right. Bye, everybody.